Hi everyone, we're Shutter Speed the Skoolie. My name is Naomi.
And I'm Kyle, and welcome to the full official tour. All right guys, so welcome to the outside of Shutter Speed the Skoolie. I'll just give you a quick run around and point out things that we've done throughout the build. I'll start off by, we have brand new Bridgestone tires. We got these from a friend of ours in Tennessee, and he was able to get us a great deal on them. So thank you, buddy. I won't name you, but you know who you are. We also have a RV door that we installed that has a window here that can slide up. And if you can look closely, there's Trip right there. Hey buddy, we have a dog named Trip inside. Up top, we have security cameras that we wanted to make sure that we were protected on the road. So we have 4 security cameras, 1 on each side, and then 1 on the front and 1 in the back that we use as well. We have a beautiful paint job right now. We are testing out colors in the very early stages, but we'll eventually, last step of this bus build is painting the bus. And so we've decided on a color we think, but we're still waiting to figure out exactly how we want to do it. But we did a 25-inch roof raise, and so I'm 6'5", and we wanted to do a roof raise for the build, so lifting that up and wrapping this in steel, and then taking out all the bus windows as well. And we also have 4 windows, RV windows, that we bought from eBay, and one is a 48-inch, 2 of them are 48-inch windows, and then the back ones, I believe, are 15-inch windows. So come with me. So on the back, we extended the bumper to get a back deck built, and also a ladder that goes up to the rooftop deck that I'll show you later. But what we have here is a latch that opens up, and it shows storage underneath. So we have all of our black tank stuff here, and then on the right side we have our freshwater hoses and things like that. So we separate them because we don't want to cross-contaminate, and they're also in and out of the bus, which you don't want a black tank hose in your bus. So we decided to do that, and we have a latch here that when we're driving, we'll keep that safe and sound. We also have here another sunk-in built-in compartment that contains 2 propane tanks, and so we have these here, and then they hook up to our propane copper tube that goes through the floor of the bus that we'll show you a little bit, and that keeps our tankless water heater, our propane stove, and our heat as well, just to keep everything central and in the bus. Also right here we have our 50 amp plug-in. This goes up to 50 amps, and we use that for our shore power that keeps our AC units up top working. And then right here we also just have an outdoor plug just for the heck of it. If we're out here and we want to listen to a speaker and plug it in, or whatever we want to do, we have an outdoor plug as well. These are mistakes from plumbing that we made. Drilled holes for certain plumbing vents to go, and it didn't end up working out from the design we had, so that's just patched up. Also here. But we look at it as an opportunity because there's a big hole here now behind this steel, and if there's ever a problem in plumbing, since it's underneath the floor, we can actually look in there, access it and things. This is where our water inlet is. This is where we take the hose and we put it in here to fill up our 110-gallon water tank. And that keeps us with fresh water for however long we want, really. It can last a week if we take long showers. It can last up to a month if we're frugal with it. Down here is the black tank. The black tank here also connects to the fresh and gray water. So the 110-gallon fresh water tank that we have, all the water from that goes into the gray water and then dumps down in here, in the black tanks here. So what we do at the end of a trip, or if we have a full tank, we take out this this piece right here that I won't touch because I don't have gloves on, but that relieves the black tank, and then we pull a lever back here that flushes out the gray water to flush out the tube and clean things out a little bit. Right here is our shore water. So whenever we're plugged up to a full RV site, one of the things that we're able to do is instead of using the gray and freshwater tanks, we just plug directly into here, and that way it has its own sewage system, but that's just strictly for shore water. This is our tankless water heater. When you have a water heater, there's a lot of steam, it has to go somewhere, so this is a vent that is attached underneath the sink that we'll show later that actually relieves that and relieves the heat and stuff like that. This is just our battery for the bus. That is stock from the actual school bus itself. This is also just stock that we have. That is all the electrical for the main components of the bus that we had when it's built. So that's for lights. A lot of it actually isn't used anymore. You'll find that out when you build your own bus. There's Trip. Hey, Bubba. Trip, why don't you say hi? Hey, buddy. You anything to say to him? All right, I'm gonna let you back in just for a sec. I should mention that this is a 2001 Thomas International School Bus with a DT466 engine and an Allison trans. It's got 160,000 miles on it, so we're optimistic that this guy, if well maintained throughout our time with the bus, that it'll get us where we need to go safely. Here we have, with the RV door, it is keypad protected, and it also has a deadlock, so for safety reasons, we wanted to have something that was secure with a bolt.
And now we're going to show you some of the inside with our dog Trip. Hi. So right here we have our stairs, but we also have a platform here for when we are driving. So my jump seat is to the left, so my feet don't hangle, so they don't dingle down into the stairwell. So we have this nice platform. So once he gets off, back up. So here is our entryway. We still have to do the stairs and get that finished out, but that's probably one of our last things since we do have this. So this just comes down and lays flat. So we now have a platform for when we're driving. So we have my jump seat here with a seat belt, and we also have Trip's seat belt. We wanted him to be safe as well. So he's in his harnessed and leashed. So this is another one of the projects that we have yet to finish. We would like to have a cabinet on here. We're gonna put our Wi-Fi and all of our extra components in here. So we're just finishing off the cabinet at this time. We also have our TV, and just because it is on a swivel, we have connectors in the back. So it is also secure while we're driving.
So this is where I spend most of my time, driver's seat. We have the engine, since it's a flat nose, the engine's inside here, and we put this felt over the top just to give it some decor, and also to keep it a little quieter when we're driving. This is Trip's water bowl and food station, so this is where he's at, and this fabric also is kind of nice because when he's swishing the water around everywhere, it actually just catches on there and not the hardwood floor for the most part. We have our security system that shows all 4 monitors at once, phone holder for when we're driving somewhere that I don't have I don't know the directions very well, and then all just stock buttons and things like that we used for the bus. So a lot of them are just capped off, but we do save a few of them for the necessities like the lights, windshield wipers, the brightness of the monitors, things like that. Here we have storage. We have a wheel well that's underneath this storage right here. So one of the things that we want to do, since I am a videographer, is that I have a lot of equipment that needs charging. So underneath here, we actually still needs to be built out, another one of the projects, but we have shelves right here that actually, if you look down here, we have 6 outlets. And so with the shelves that I'm going to have in here, this will be able to charge the drone, cameras, lights, all those things at once, and that way, while they're charging for hours on end, they are not out in the open, taking up space on the counter. Right now, we use this counter as kind of like a catch-all. When we walk in, we throw our keys there. We're probably gonna have some kind of bowl or something here just to catch all things. And then just more storage on the left side here, same deal. Here is my office, so to speak. I love that it's one of the things I really love about this is that I can just, as I'm sitting down, get something out of the fridge. So if it's been a long day and I need a beverage, it's right there for me. But laptops here, we actually have an HDMI cord that is hidden behind here. So when I'm done with the video project, I can actually just plug into my laptop here, and the cord runs through the wall to the TV. So when I want to watch a bigger project, something that's a little more important, I will watch it on there so I can actually see what the viewer will see on their TV screen. The chair here that we bought, we got it from overstock.com. I love it because it's small enough to go for a office chair, but it also has storage in here that we keep remotes and different things. And so big perk on that, love it. And then our couch, we got our couch online. We got one of those click-clack futons. And so the only issue with that is that it cannot go back because of the wall, right? We're in a tight space. So we did what most people do, is we built the slats for the couch, and that pulls out enough to where we can clack it down to a full bed for guests to stay if we'd like.
So this is our Avanti fridge and freezer. On this right side, we have all of our fridge products, and then we also have our freezer. We also put all of our spices magnetically on here, and they're all individually labeled. We have it like that because I accidentally put some dents in it in our building process. So those actually hide the dents, but they're also decorative and functional. So that was my mistake. A big thing about when we were making our build was space, obviously. So we ended up choosing an under-the-counter fridge and freezer just for space saving. We figured that most of our products are going to be a little bit more dry, so we wanted to make sure that we still had the aspect of the freezer, but we wanted to make sure that we were being as functional as possible with our fridge and freezer underneath the cabinet. So this is our propane tank stovetop. We decided to forego an oven just for space purposes. And this has done very, very well for us. We probably will still be building a heat protector on this back just for safety purposes. But this has been very crucial to what we've been doing. So we do have overhead cabinets, and we've already installed these clasps so we don't have anything flying open as we're driving. But this is a pantry area for us. We also have all of our cups, our glasses, all of that in this cabinet. We have one just for our dog trip, and we also have our pots and pans up here. So every certain cabinet does have a purpose. So we also installed puck lights for extra lighting while we're cooking. And then overhead, we also have some LED lights just for ambiance and a little bit of extra right there. We have all of our silverware and everything else tucked back in here. We decided to get the microwave not mounted, just so if we need extra space, we can move the microwave. And then we also have the magnet strip for all of our heavy knives. So the sink was my favorite feature. I really wanted a big farmhouse type of sink. We got this off of Amazon. And thankfully, it has been probably my favorite feature of the entire bus. We also have this drying rack for all of our dishes while they're kind of sitting out and drying. We decided to do some decorations. We have this shelving unit, but we also wanted to make sure our bar was there so while we're driving, things didn't fly around. This has been really great for us so far, and obviously it also holds our towel. So this is peel and stick wallpaper. We went through about 4 different designs before we settled on this, just because it was a little bit more neutral. It's very easy to install, has been great for just adding a little bit of something extra to this. It makes it a nice accent wall.
Okay, to talk about the mechanics and some of the functionality of the bus, for the stovetop, when we're making meals, we did a max air fan right above. That way it takes the smoke from cooking right out of the bus. Probably one of the features that we screwed up on was having the fire and monoxide alarm next to the fan, so when it's taking the smoke up, sometimes that goes off, but probably not what my mom would suggest, but we can just take that off when we're cooking, put it back on. You live and you learn. If you're doing a build, try and put the smoke detector in a very smart spot, not anywhere near the stove, but it's hard in 200 square feet. So underneath this counter, we have our utensils like Naomi showed, but this cabinet is nothing but stuff that we're gonna use for bus mechanical purposes. And so still some junk in here, but what we have is we have a diesel heater. The diesel heater actually is fed through the actual diesel tank of the bus. So we actually drilled a hole into the diesel tank of our bus, ran a line underneath the floor that connects to the diesel heater. That way we don't have to have a separate container of fuel in the bus that's unsafe, and so we tried to go the safest route possible. We also have ductwork that's been ran throughout, so this diesel heater doesn't just pump heat out from here, but it actually goes into the bathroom, the bedroom, and into the living room. So when it does get cold, we have the opportunity to stay warm in every area of the bus. We also have here, which is our copper tube. This takes our propane from the back, like I showed you on the back deck, and that runs to our propane stove, our water heater, which is right here. Within about 3 seconds, our water is warm for showers and whatnot to conserve on our water consumption. So this cabinet's actually really good for us because it's all-in-one storage. So if there's anything wrong with propane, plumbing, our water heater, our diesel heater, everything is right here in this easy cabinet to access, and so we really love that feature of it. Underneath here is trash, your basic kitchen appliances, but we also can access plumbing through here. If there's ever an emergency where we have issues with the plumbing, we can access the shutoff valves and everything in here. And we also chose to have plumbing in the sink location right here. Again, everything on this bus is done for a purpose. So where do you put things? How effective can you be in your small, tight space? And so we chose the sink to be here and the plumbing to be right here because on the other side of this wall is actually the shower. And so for ease of use in plumbing, in this middle wall, everything conjoins into one central location. Over here is our control panel. So everything, the stuff that we were just talking about, everything is controlled from this wall. We chose this wall because it's out of the way. Nobody ever sits here. It's not really a space that people notice. And so we have our Renogy inverter controls. We have our battery consumption. So this lights up when it's charging. We're doing shore power right now. So that is at full 200 amps. This is our water heater. It tells us how high we want the water temp to be or how low we want it to be. This is the diesel heater. This is the water pump. And this is our breaker box for all of our electrical. And so the fuses here, if something goes out or if we plug into a wrong outlet, we can easily switch out the chips. And this just controls shore power. This is off-grid power, and it's all in one easy location. So as you come through the hallway, leaving the kitchen and the living room, we have actually what we like to call an upstairs. It's raised about 1.5 feet, and the reason why we did that is because underneath this entire back half of the bus, the floor, there are two 110-gallon water tanks that go along the frame. And so that left us one, really good water storage so we don't have to worry about our water freezing in cold places since it's inside the bus and insulated. But we also had an opportunity on the sides of the water tanks for storage at this long hallway. So what we decided to do was underneath here is where all of our battery components are. So we have a Renogy inverter that takes all of our solar and power that we have in the bus and converts it into usable energy with standard outlets. We also have two 200 amp hour batteries. But one thing that you guys will have to know when building a bus is that unless you get lithium batteries, that battery ampage actually gets cut in half. And so although there's 400 amp hours there, because they're not lithium, it actually is only 200 amp hours. Will we need more? We don't know. So far, we've been happy with it. For the most part, we're in RV parks that we're plugged in anyway. But I would imagine that if we're doing long stints in, say, a cloudy area like Seattle or something, we might have to conserve on our usage, but so far, so good.
So this is our bathroom. We've installed a vent and fan just for all of the steam. So steam purposes, we have that. We also have an IKEA sink and storage under here for all of our toothbrushes and whatnot, extra toilet paper. Then we also have our toilet and bidet over here. So this is a Dometic toilet system. This connects to our black tank right underneath. And then we also have a tiny shower that we've insulated. We chose an RV shower head that was from Amazon as well, very cheap, very nice, and it works perfectly. We chose this design. These towels are super absorbent and we can reuse them very often. So we have 2 towels for Kyle and I each. And then we wanted a decorative light up here. I wanted a decorative light up there. We also have the outlet. Make sure that you have your outlets turned upside down. Much like hospitals, that's where a lot of accidents happen. So make sure that the prong is facing up. with that. So to start us off, this is our bedroom. Here is our Dometic air conditioner unit. We have 2 of those, one in the front and one in the back as well. And that has been wonderful off of shore power. So we also have 2 RV windows on either side for nice cross flow. And then in our bedroom area, we have a queen size bed, and this is mainly our area, but we also wanted extra foot space. We didn't want that cramped feeling. Kyle is a little bit taller, but we also have our dog. So his bed is down here, and we also have extra blankets for extra cold areas. Because this is where I will be working the majority of the time, we also have cabinet storage up ahead, so I can store all of my work material, my laptop up there. Also extra pillowcases and whatnot for those cold nights. On either side, we both have USB charging ports and outlets, just because we know that everybody has a his and a her side, and we didn't want to be jumbling over charging phones. I also want to mention that making the bed is probably our least favorite task out of the entire bus. It is a pain in the butt to try to get up there and do it, but it's made for you today. So underneath is where we're going to be storing a lot of things. So over here we have our camp chairs. We also have my clothes in one bin. Kyle's gonna have his clothes in another bin. At this weekend stage, we don't have it all set up right now. But we have our clothing situation here. We also have extra storage way in the back for all of our off-season clothing and material. Then we are going to have one hamper for our dirty clothes, so we can all keep that bonfire smell in one general location. And then if you come to our back garage, this is our extra space. We're gonna be having a roll of t-shirts and a roll of pants for each of us, hanging off of this wall specifically for easy access, just for day-to-day clothing options. And then if you come back, we have our 2 scooters. This is for just getting around the park when we can't move the bus. They go 19 miles per hour for 20 miles, so the charging is great on that. And then from here, we also are going to have our back deck entrance. So we have another door here for getting outside and stepping out onto our back deck.
So now we're past the garage, out onto the back deck, and we're gonna go up to the rooftop deck. Come join me. Oh. I recommend wearing shoes when you do this. So we are on the rooftop deck of our Skoolie build. We just have standard 2x6s, I believe, that are on unistrut. We bolted that to the ribs of the bus for secure deck. Inside here we have a cutout for our Dometic AC unit. And if we keep going along on our unistrut deck, it stops, and that's where we have our solar panels. So we have 8 100-watt Renogy solar panels that have been working great for us, and they're all connected to the unistrut as well. We have the Max Air fan, the other Dometic AC unit, and then so this is what we use to enjoy happy hours, morning yoga. We don't do that, but we might, who knows.
We chose this lifestyle because we are newlyweds and we wanted to experience as much as we could in the first years of our marriage before having children. We wanted to just explore, travel, get out there, see as much as we could together.
Right, it's like before we're financially responsible for others, and while we can still do this at a relatively young age, we wanted to see all the national parks and go up to Alaska and see all the states and see what this country has, because I feel like we have such a big country that a lot of people don't actually get to see everything. So we want to capitalize on that now while we're young. We have our health and our youth before we get older, and do it that way. So another big reason for me personally is that I'm a photographer and videographer, so traveling around and seeing these parks and taking landscape shots is a big part of what I do. And so I'm really excited to go out there and see all the landscapes that this country has, and there's a lot of them, so we intend on being very busy in the bus. But we also may make a film about our journey just to show everybody what bus life is like, show the challenges, show the perks of it, but just be really real with the film, just to show exactly what it is and not be fake about it or too intentional, or however you want to take it.
So far, it's been great. I think during COVID, we were already forced in those close proximity together. And this was just another testament that we felt very comfortable doing it. Of course, there's going to be those small little things that we had to work out initially while we were trying to live together. You know, the small little bickering, and it really forces you to come together and communicate when you're in a tight space anyway. So there's no more misunderstanding about little things. We're really good about communication, and so far it's been great.
Yeah, COVID, to what she's saying, COVID was a good proof of concept, because when you're spending that much time together, you know, you have to deal with any issues that are going on. So going from our house, which is 2,000 square feet, to 200 square feet, communication has to be super on par. So one of the big things about tiny house living, though, is that when you're going from a large amount of square feet to small amount of square feet, is that you have to deal with your problems right then and there. You can't get in an argument and then just go down to the basement or hide, you know, up in your office or whatever it is. You have to communicate. Because you are living right next to each other the whole time. So we actually look at it as a perk and a nice thing for our relationship, because it allows us to communicate more, and it allows us to you know, work through things or discuss things that we want to do. It doesn't have to be negative, right?
Right. I think it's all positive that we're spending so much time together and really getting to know each other, especially in these first stages of marriage. It only solidifies what we already knew, is that we are very compatible and we get along really well, even in a tight space.
One of the things that we love about tiny house living, especially being off-grid, we have solar, we have water in here, and so although we still have the diesel, using diesel for the school bus, for the most part we're completely off-grid, and we're not causing much damage to the environment or taking up much space. And so what we love, the idea about this, is that we can go out and boondock and be out in the open and not using resources from you know, a grid of some sort. So we love that idea. We love being self-sustaining, just because it gives you the freedom and you kind of feel empowered by doing it, that you're not relying on anything but yourself.
It's the little things for me about, you know, taking a quicker shower, not using as much resources, not using your Keurig or the Keurig cups anymore, and just really focusing on what's really important, how we're getting our basics, and trying to be as minimalistic and leave as little of an impact as possible. So it is very important for us. We want to go experience the entire US and Canada, and we really want to expand into all of these great areas, and we shouldn't be harming what we're trying to see.
It's also kind of like a game, you know, like how much can you condense down? How much can you get rid of and still live a comfortable life? And so looking at how much water you have left, looking at the wattage from your battery banks, it's kind of like this big game, is how well can we be sustainable on the road? How well can we maximize the utilities and the resources that we have? And so I personally love it, because it's kind of like a challenge, and we're both competitive people, and it's a fun way to look at life, and to every day wake up knowing that you have a finite amount of things, and how do you get the most out of that?
And then another thing for me is you start to realize all the blessings that you do have and how much a luxury everything else is. So we are very blessed to have this type of setup, and I know that people even survive off of less and less. So for us, it is really fulfilling, just trying to live as much in the moment and not worry about materialistic things as much. The building process, oh gosh, it was daunting and intimidating, and it was...
Say it louder for the people in the back.
It's frustrating at times, and we had a lot of clashing initially when we were first trying to do our build, just because we were trying to make our point, and we were trying to get this and this and this done. So it was challenging in all the right ways, but we wouldn't have had such a successful bus. We probably wouldn't have had a successful bus build had we not had those challenges and gotten to learn from our mistakes along the way.
Yeah, so the bus build took about 2 years. We're coming up on 2 years here in a few months, and I would say we're about 95% done. Still some small things that we'll probably point out in this tour, but the building process took a very long time. We had breaks in between. There's times where we got super burnout, and we needed to take a month or two off. There's times that we hired help to help with things that are a little more technical, like plumbing and electrical. Those are things that I really don't want to do. YouTube's a great resource, and there's tons of videos out there that teach people how to do those things, but it's one of those things where it's like you can't screw that up. You can't screw up 110 gallons of water on your bus. You can't screw up faulty electrical wires, you know, with a dog inside the bus while we go to the bathroom or something like that, right? Something bad could happen. So we wanted to outsource for that, but also we wanted to outsource because we just flat out didn't want to do it at times. And so I look at it as you have to go into it being a team. You have to know it's going to be really, really hard. You can't have this fake pipe dream that everything's just going to go right into place. Buses are not perfectly square. Everything's got to be custom. You're going to do something, you're going to rip it back out and do it again. I think I lost some hair up here over the last 2 years building this with Naomi and friends and people that we hired. But overall, once you get it done, oh my goodness, is it worth it? We absolutely love it. We love being in here. So the building process, I guess if you guys were to ask us, would we do it again? The answer would be a very loud F no. For me at least, I don't think I'd build another bus just because it takes a lot of time.
And I want to give credit to Kyle here. He had researched everything so much prior to our build. We wanted to think about things like inertia, and we wanted to think about how much our tanks could really hold and the weight of the bus, and every little thing had to have a purpose or at least some type of reasoning behind it of why we were doing one way or another. You have to make things even. You have to make sure that it's not tilting one way or another, because when you're going down a hill, that matters. So Kyle had done his research for months prior to even buying a bus, just because we wanted to make sure that we were thinking of every little thing going into it. And of course things come up along the way, but I have to give Kyle credit where it's due. He did a lot of the research for what we needed. So I am not a very good designer, and I really didn't know what I wanted. So of course Pinterest was a huge thing for us. We already had picked out colors. We had just gotten married, so I really wanted to incorporate a lot of the things that we had done before. But in going tiny, we wanted to be a little bit more minimalistic. So in going minimalistic, kind of putting in the key touches that we wanted, the grays, the navies, the coppers. I had a couple of must-haves. So I really wanted a big sink. I really wanted a bathroom. So little things just kind of came naturally after that, just knowing what my must-haves were and what Kyle's must-haves were. And then we wanted to keep it as simple as we could from there.
Yeah, so in the beginning of looking for a bus, right, that's a big decision. How long of a bus do you want? Do you want a roof raise? Do you want a roof rack? I mean, there's a lot of decisions in the beginning that you have to make in order to get a good design plan going that fits your needs. And so when we first started talking about this, I kind of wanted just a short bus, and I wanted it to be really, really simple, gravity-fed water, basic electric, and just kind of have this real rough lifestyle. And as we talked about it, Naomi said, okay, I need a bathroom.
I'll get on board as long as I can shower.
Yes, so I said, okay, we'll get that in there. And then I was thinking, all right, if she gets a bathroom and a shower, well, I'm 6'5", and I was like, well, if I'm gonna be doing this, especially with the shower head and everything else, I need a roof raise. And so as we went on building this process and doing the layout and figuring things out, we just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger with it. And I wouldn't say that's for everybody. Definitely don't just go big, especially if your lifestyle is you want to navigate and be quick and stealth in parking lots, and you want to go to campgrounds, any of the campgrounds, because our bus is really large. And so there's a lot of campgrounds that we can't go into because we're over 36 feet or whatever it is. So make sure that you know what type of bus you want, and the layout can come in second after that. And you can get really creative, because if you're watching this video, you've probably watched dozens or hundreds of other SKOOLIE Tour videos. So you'll get a good idea from there.
Yeah, and I think storage is the most important. Make sure that you know where you're going to be storing your winter clothes from your summer clothes. Make sure you know where you're keeping your dog's food to the pantry items that you keep every day. Storage is a huge thing, and you want to make sure that you have a layout that also kind of gives to that.
Yeah, and with that, get less stuff. You don't need, 4 pairs of jeans. You don't need a lot of the things you think you do. So when it comes to storage, that's a huge stressful part of it. How do we fit all of our stuff in here? But just give it a shot. Start giving away things, start selling things, start figuring out how much you actually need. And then the storage part, which is a big stress factor, especially in a small space, because there's just stuff everywhere. The less stuff you have, the happier you'll be. I can promise you that.
Yes.
I would say that the biggest advice that I could give right now off the top of my head is know what you're getting into. I thought after months and months and months and months of research that I knew what I was getting into, and I still didn't. It's a very overwhelming thing, and unless you're a master carpenter, a master electrician, a master plumber, you have to make sure that you have the funds for these type of things to outsource. And so one of the things that I want to preach to everybody is that you don't have to do everything yourself. don't be afraid to ask for help. And one of the things that I realized that was really important was that my skill set necessarily isn't the best in a lot of these areas, but I am good at some things that earn me an income. So instead of taking a lot of time trying to master everything, I doubled down on what I was good at to try to make more money that I could pay for something for somebody that they're really good at. And so I wasn't going to do plumbing, I wasn't going to do electrical, but I was able to shoot more videos, I was able to get more gigs, more clients, and work on the weekends, work at nights, to be able to afford to pay for people to help us in the areas that we were weak in. So biggest advice is know what you're getting into, be very diligent about the process, and know whether or not you're going to have the commitment to finish it. Another piece of advice, while I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, is there are a lot of people that don't take the advice I just gave and give up on their schoolie build halfway through or right in the beginning. They just got the bus and then they try to sell it for $10,000 more. Don't buy from those people. But you can buy half-built schoolies, and so if you're trying to save time on the labor part of things, you can find half builds, and those people are usually just trying to dump it, trying to get rid of it, and trying to recoup some of their money or all of their money. So just know what you're getting into, do your research, and have a very dedicated mindset going forward, because it'll get tough, and seeing things through can be a challenge at times, but just stick with it, it'll be worth it.
So my biggest piece of advice is don't look at Instagram and Pinterest and envision this wonderful life that you're going to be living. Get a little bit more realistic about it.
Sometimes you're like, yes!
No. It's just one of those things. A light switch is going to be a little bit adjacent compared to what you want it to be, and everything's going to be a mistake, and it's okay to make mistakes, but make it your own. That's the whole process of building a schoolie, is to customize it for what you want. Really put in a passion for what you want out of it, because everything's going to be different. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Just stick to your guns, do what you want out of your build, and also be realistic about what your expectations are out of your build. If you're going to be full-time, you're going to need different things than if you were just taking it for random weekend trips. And are you going to be having it stationary? Are you going to be really traveling or doing much with it? You have to be realistic about what you want out of it. Obviously, if it's stationary, you get a little bit more perks than you do if you're traveling all the time. So just be realistic about what your expectations are for the actual purpose of the bus.
And to piggyback off of what she just said, do things that make you comfortable. Don't do the things that look good on Instagram. Don't do the things that you see on YouTube that you think look pretty. I know it's tempting to want to do that, but there are a lot of things that you see on the internet that aren't actually that practical. You have the custom built couches that are super small with the made cushions, and now I'm not saying that those are all bad things or they don't work. A lot of people don't mind it, but for me, when I get home from work or I get home from a hike or whatever it is, I want to be able to sit on a couch that's comfortable. I want to be able to lay on a bed that's comfortable, that I actually fit in. And so make sure that when you're building stuff, make sure it's comfortable, because if you're sitting in a perfect rectangular cube that looks amazing but nothing's comfortable to sit on, it's going to get old really, really fast. So don't sacrifice comfort for the way things look, because I feel personally that you'll regret it, as I would have.
I think what we've learned also from other people is aesthetic is one thing. Obviously you want a great aesthetic, but just living in the space gives you a different mentality of what you want out of it. So ours was very functional, and obviously we wanted to make things pretty and design things nice, but we really wanted things to have a good functioning purpose throughout the entire bus. So piece of advice is make sure that you're keeping that in mind when you're building.
One of the main questions that people ask on schoolie pages and forums and things like that is insurance. You're spending a lot of your own time, money, and resources putting it into this future home that you're going to live in, so naturally you want to protect it. Finding insurance for us personally was not that bad. I think registering the bus as an RV and going through that title process and things like that, that was more cumbersome than doing the insurance. But we went through Allstate. I called them, I explained to our Allstate agent exactly what we had, and in the beginning, since we weren't fully done with the build, that's another one of those scenarios where they were insuring us for what it currently was, but there's a lot of factors like, are you currently living in it? Are you driving it? Is it drivable? Is it under a shelter while you're building it? Or are you just building it out in your backyard? All those things are factors when you're first doing your build. So if you do get it insured in the beginning, which feel free to do, we did that, but you want to get it reinsured at the end because it's worth more, right? You've spent more time putting things in there, there's more functionality, whatever it may be. So we went through Allstate. It's a case-by-case situation that we found out, especially just from reading the forums, being a part of them for so long, is that the best way to do things is to either find another schoolie friend that has done it and try to go through the agent they went through, or just ask around. But Facebook groups and forums are going to be your best resource. Even though people are tired of seeing that question, who cares? Ask the question and get it done. Me
personally, we ended up going through CoachNet for additional insurance, just because we wanted to know that we were covered under towing, and if we got a flat tire, what we could do out of that. So we do have that subscription through CoachNet. Amazing service so far.
How much is it a month?
I believe it's $200 a year plus, maybe around $300 a year.
Okay.
And it's an annual renewal. We really have enjoyed their service so far. They've been extremely great on customer service. I explained everything that we were hoping to do out of the bus, and we get monthly newsletters from them. They've been wonderful to work with. So
hopefully we never need them, but
yeah, they're there in case we need it.
So the technical specs of our bus, it's a 2001 Thomas International with a DT466 engine and an Allison transmission. There is a roof raise that we did, which is 25 inches, used galvanized steel that went around the entire bus, and we just basically extended the ribs of the bus. When it comes to solar, we have a roof rack up top that also connects to a rack full of solar panels, which is 800 watts. We did 8 individual 100 watt panels, all through Renogy. And then we also have a battery bank, 400 amps that is through Renogy as well. We have an inverter. From a technical perspective, the engine has 160,000-ish miles on it, which a diesel engine of that caliber, if well maintained, can go at least 500,000 miles. So maintenance is really key, but we're optimistic that for the trip that we want to do, we won't even touch 100,000 miles. I mean, that's a lot of miles. It's a big country, but you can do a couple laps and some with that. So we're hopeful by taking it to a mechanic, getting it tuned up before we leave, that we'll be safe, sound, and it'll be reliable on the road. Knock on wood. And then we got Bridgestone tires. We actually got somewhat of a deal through a friend on that regard. Tires is a whole ball game. I did a ton of research on them, and it is a pain in the butt to find safe tires that will keep you and your family safe, but also that won't break the bank. I mean, sometimes they're $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a set. So we were lucky that we had a friend that was able to help us out in that regard. But I would recommend not sacrificing quality on the tires, because that is a massive part, especially when you're lugging around 20,000, 30,000 pounds of material on a road. You want to have good tires. It's just the smart thing to do. Don't budge on that. All right, guys, we are on the rooftop deck finishing up the Skoolie tour. We really appreciate you watching.
Hope you guys have fun on your Skoolie builds, and we can't wait to see you and follow along as well.
See you later.